for disclosure, especially as a.
Selectboard.
Now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. We have one change. We need to add the Spark grant discussion. You want to add it as 15A, Tara?
Sure.
Everybody read the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Any more additions, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
With the change. Public comment. Anybody public comment?
Thank you for coming. Just kind
Will you
of,
just state your name, please?
okay, Randy Monholland. I'm gonna be the next commander for the Legion here in Pownell, starting next month. So I just want to introduce myself. Kind of coming into things late here. I understand there was a possible issue with a fee that was supposed to have been paid in, I think, the end of April. It didn't happen on time. There was some misunderstanding there. Has been paid, and I understand it's an issue in front of the board tonight. So I just wanted to come to make sure that if there's any questions or.
We can certainly address that when we get to that,
That was,
agenda item, Randy.
okay,
All right, I don't want to address it in public comment, but we will address it when we get down to that.
okay. That's why I was here.
Yep, perfect.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for introducing yourself. That's all. Yeah, well, I know.
I know.
Well, it's not new to me, so but that's okay. He's new to some people and that's great. Okay. Any other public comment? Sorry.
After 25 years, I'm still new.
Yeah, not to me. No other public comment? Okay. Approval of minutes. April 24th. Select board meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye. April 28th, special select board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Warrants, accounts payable, May 2nd. 2025, oops, I think you had the one with my totals on it. That's okay. It's the one we were using for notes. You can have it back. Sorry. Accounts payable, May 2nd, $21,654.45.
So move.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable, May 9th, $26,672.70.
So move.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Payroll, May 2nd, $12,264.59.
So move.
Second.
Sorry.
Second, okay.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Payroll, May 9th, $11,262.77.
So move.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you can have that back. Correspondence,
We have none tonight.
okay. Updates from town officials.
I have one from Joel, and I think Hannah has something on the cell tower that she wanted to share, but from the highway department, evening all, we finished the concrete work and most of the groundwork at the transfer station. It all came out well, I thought. I wanted to look at the water flow around it, and then we'll probably end up putting a swale around it next to the roadside. I wanted to thank the highway crew, wastewater crew, and of course, Tom and Paul for completing the job flawlessly. The Main Street Bridge is coming along really well as well. They have the cribbing under the bridge either today or tomorrow. One side is already done with the concrete, and the other side should be poured next week, which means we will have another road bridge closure, but we'll post that as soon as we know. I'm happy with the quality of work so far. I appreciate the patience of the people living on the side of the bridge. It should be over soon. We are out ditching on Skippery Road currently and started full grading on the roads and hopefully when the rain stops back to it next week. I'm looking for a new job for the grants and aid money and apply for a grant for the bridge work and to finish Maple Grove Road. We also plan on blacktopping the back parking lot at the town office and the emergency exit from the office complex. We should have the mower going in a couple weeks also. Thank you, Joel.
Say yes.
Good question.
I attended the hearing for the cell tower on the 28th. They had a schedule, it did not work for all parties involved. So they're just revising the schedule. There was an evidentiary hearing and the Hearts requested that be withheld, so they're no longer going to do that. They're just asking the town to sign off on the new schedule. I'm listed as the duly authorized agent. So I was thinking just I could sign and then you could verify my signature, just because I didn't feel comfortable signing it without your.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
Perfect. Okay.
Just wanted-
You had a question, Gina?
I do, about correspondence. What about the Dean Road issue that we got? Is that not correspondence?
We could read that, yeah.
Yeah.
They did
Could we?
say that they wanted it read.
Yeah, that's true.
I did let them know. I forwarded it to you all.
They did ask for literally quote help.
Why was that up? I just, I've been acting as the animal control officer. And since the nicer weather has come, people seem to be getting laxed on leashing their animals. We've been having more incidences between animals and people and animals to animals. Just please, as a reminder, we do have an ordinance. We have a leash law. You got to keep your animals on your own property as best as possible. And we're welcomed Bob Perry today, and he's taken over as the animal control officer. I will be finishing up the case that I've been working on, and but I welcome him, and I think he's going to fit right in, and he believes in a neighborly policy also. So if you have an interaction with him, don't hesitate to share, so we know how he's doing.
Thanks, Jamie. Okay, so we received a complaint from Christian Dickinson on the 8th. Did we get this today?
Mhm.
7.
The 7th, the response was today. That's why it's showing this. I'm a resident of Dean Road in North Pownell. I would like to make a complaint regarding the large gathering permit issued for the motorcycle race scheduled for June 7th and 8th. Starting the Friday before the race, there are cars, trucks, campers, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, side-by-sides, and other small, loud, and obnoxious vehicles racing up the road and at all hours of the night throughout the entire event, throughout all 3 days. The speed limit on that road is 25 to 30 miles per hour, yet motorists are driving well above that limit in excess of 60 miles per hour in some instances. I've had to call the state police multiple times throughout the years for this race. It gets to the point that the residents of Dean Road have to put out signs asking people to slow the hell down. Not only is the traffic excessive for 3 straight days and at all hours of the day and night, the speed of individuals is dangerous. There are children and pets that are in danger of being run over by certain individuals that have zero respect for other people, their property, and their peace of mind. I don't know how these people keep being approved a permit of this rate for this race, but if you ask the people that live on Dean Road whether or not they approve, I would bet 95% of them would say no. The dangerous speeds and noise at 2 a.m. is completely unacceptable. I would ask that in order for a permit to be issued, that they would have to have 24-hour police presence at the bottom of Dean Road, both Friday and Saturday, for the safety and sanity of those who live on the road and have to deal with this loud, drunken, and obnoxious event. I think having a police presence would deter not only the speed being driven, but at all hours of the night as well. I'm not looking forward to another one of these races. Please help us.
Thank you. Like the reason thanks for reading that. I appreciate it. So because I don't know about this race in the past, and me being me, I drove down Dean Road. And so at first I was confused because I thought what he was saying initially was the race was on Dean Road, and clearly that's not it. So it looks like where the race is held is completely appropriate and makes sense. But I get like on the road, and there are definitely signs from the neighbors on the road.
Those are there all the time.
Yeah, that are always
Yes.
there. No, but it sounds like they have an issue with speeding on the road. Like, I don't know. I don't live on that road, but so my question is, in the past, has there been a police presence at the beginning of the road, or if not, what about like, for example, the sheriff's department, like some of the cameras that are on poles? Like, that's often a deterrent because I mean, I get the complaint about if that's what's happening, people are speeding on the road at all hours. That could be dangerous and annoying. It's not a very wide road. On the other hand, it seems like the race is being held in an appropriate place. So I'm just curious how that's been dealt with before.
With the sheriff's present.
Yeah.
Because I remember when
Okay.
they went up, they were parked at the bottom.
Yeah, they know about the race. They do tend to be in town.
Okay,
They do patrol the road.
And the event organizers are very clear with people. They do not want them driving fast on the road. I think they really do make an effort to say like, please respect the neighbors. Some people are not respectful, no matter what you try to say, unfortunately. And we have had one other complaint in the past.
I heard today through, and I don't know because it's a rumor, so I haven't heard from Paul, the race organizer.
Mhm.
And he has another one this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
So I heard a rumor that, people who are caught violating their rules and regulations, such as speeding up and down Dean Road or Stromeyer Road, or
right.
somebody that's in there on an illegal side-by-side type thing or whatever, it's a 1 strike. He doesn't have a 3 strike.
Okay,
He doesn't have a 3 strike thing. If you get caught, you are no longer welcome at his events. So I think he's trying to,
Yeah.
the event organizer
Yeah.
is really trying to buckle down on people who are violating his rules and regulations that he has in place for his races.
probably get.
No, that's rumor. I mean, I haven't heard it from his mouth. I would love,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm sure we will hear.
The proof will be in the pudding because the first race is tomorrow or
Right.
this weekend.
So I'm sure that, if Paul comes back next year for permits, I'm sure that'll be part of his presentation
Okay,
because he's really good about his presentations.
great. Yeah, I'm not opposed to the road. I just want
Right.
residents to know they are being heard, and
Right.
I get it. That would be very unhappy as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of traffic for that little road, but on that weekend, it is a lot of people. I can definitely understand the concern.
I mean, I take and try to swing by a couple of times each day.
Yeah.
Just put my eyes on and, I mean, I've not witnessed anybody doing what they shouldn't be doing
Yeah,
while I've been there, and, my touch base with Paul,
Oh,
the other people.
Yeah.
around them, so.
the one my cousin puts on.
Mhm.
Really? I mean, I really, the motorcycles go by. A lot of motorcycles go by, but they're really not speeding down through. And they act like responsible neighbors.
Mhm.
More can I say? That's about it.
Okay.
thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Tobacco, second class, license applications, and excess weight permits. I have one excess weight permit for Structural Wood Corporation. Joel's approved it and they've sent their check. It's your pleasure.
I'll make a motion that we accept the permit.
They're out of roof trusses is what they do. They're out of
Okay.
Arlington, New York.
Second that motion.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
So we have a third class, or first class and a third class for American Legion, Pownell Post 90 Inc.
What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve. Since we do have a check. I'll add more with the discussion.
Yep. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
We have a check for that,
Yeah,
Amy?
yeah, he came in earlier.
Okay,
So I'm gonna be totally honest. I was gonna make a motion to deny because we didn't have the check.
Right.
Because the protocol and the procedure hadn't been followed.
Right.
So I just wanted to put that out there, you know, but since you did come through and per the state, process, we can take and accept it because we do have it.
I appreciate that. I was just made aware of it this afternoon. I don't take over as a commander until next month.
Right.
But, trying to get feet on the ground and, I'll make sure that the next year things are handled in a more timely basis.
What, I researched it out a little bit myself, Randy.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And those applications are sent out 150 days
Right,
before they're due.
right.
So it was, I think it was just an oversight, honestly. I think that as a board, we go on Julie's recommendation with this as well, because it goes through her, through the town clerk. But I also think as a board, we have to stay very consistent with the process. We have a business in town right now that doesn't have one because we haven't received the check.
Understood.
So I think it's just a matter of consistency. It's not anything pointed at anybody. It's just staying on the line. That's all.
Yeah, like I said, I just was made aware of this afternoon and I put out all of the background on it.
Exactly.
I understand,
Yep. Yeah, no, I understand.
Leave things to the last minute.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
gonna make excuses or explanations because I don't have all the facts, but
Right.
I will make the assurances that we won't be here next year talking like this.
Well, I can tell you for one that I'm super happy that a check came through so that we didn't have to, have any further discussion on it tonight other than to make a motion to approve and move forward because it is a vital, and it's an important part of the town.
I understand.
For sure. So,
Yeah, I'm hoping we can generate some more interest and.
yep, nice. That'd be good. We could use it.
Yeah.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
Hannah, is there anybody online? Oh, okay.
It's board discussion, but I gave him an opportunity.
I know. I just was,
No.
Julie talked about she might call in.
Oh, well, if she did, she'd be there, but,
So I had
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor? That's all set.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, taking the time to.
Okay, like I said.
Yep.
Anytime.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rapid feedback, sign, discussion and possible action with David Palmer.
Do you want to stay over there or do you want to come over here?
You come on up here. Come on up in the comfy seat.
I mean, I'm leaving it up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So David came to me a little while back after reaching out to the board. He has some serious concerns with the speed on Route 7, as many people have those concerns. And I would just like to say thank you for spearheading this whole thing and doing the research. He's done a lot of research and helped me find the pricing on it. When I presented it to the board, I told them we could probably use money from the capital projects fund. However, if you choose to buy them, we do have some money in like Bill's wage line. There's about 9,000 there and some of it will go toward the board secretary position, but the rest could absolutely cover these signs. So found the money.
Wonderful.
Do you want to share what you learned?
If I may,
Absolutely. Please do.
well, first of all, I want to thank Tara so much for
Would you just state your name for everyone, please, David?
David Palmer,
Thank you.
resident of Powell for 54 years, I think. And yes, regarding the speed and on Route 7 here in Pownell Center, it has been a concern voiced to me and for quite some time. And I know you folks are keenly aware of it as well. I have checked with the town of Shasberry to see how their signage was doing it, and they said that they thought that it was not so much as a deterrent as it was just a reminder to a lot of folks in their little village. Now, again, it's on Route 7A and not on a main thoroughfare like we have. But all that being considered, I did speak with Sheriff James Gully, and James was very, very agreeable in that he said, yes, he thought, in his opinion, that it would be valuable for, he said, many times they find that the speeders are not purposely negligent. They have their minds on other things, obviously, and that's right or wrong. And
That's a little iffy.
I'm sorry.
That's a little iffy at best, right?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
But so if these signs could be used as a reminder, but it increases awareness, he said, certainly. It's a much clearer visual for your speeds, especially when you're coming up from the south heading north, and after you are getting off that 2-lane highway in the north position. And the signs are questionably adequate in terms of speed reduction and then a posting of 40. A lot of people do sail by, and I've even had people pass me by the store here, and I'm sure we can get into a lot of stories about what we've experienced. But anyway, from Sheriff Gully's viewpoint, that is, in many cases, it's an accident reduction. With the school just up the road here, I know we do have our little signs. The school is set back from the road, which is wonderful. However, when parents pick up their children and they're coming to that intersection, that could very well be a problem as well. These signs that Tara and I had reviewed were highly visible, and I guess that's the key. And what they also will do, and I talked to Carl about this earlier, is that they can record. So that depending upon the quality of the system that we're looking at, and the two that are the items that we were proposing are solar powered. However, they can also be hardwired as well if that were a possibility. So that was Sheriff Gully's input. And he also said that at any time he would be more than happy to come down and address any questions or concerns that any of us might have. So I thought that was very nice. Secondly, with Sergeant Loomis of the Vermont State Police, I was trying to get in touch with him, God bless him, for a couple of days, and he was so busy with the accident just down the road here. And but we did finally get together, and one of the things that he mentioned was that with the type of systems that we would be looking at would be to record the times of the day where offenses are many times happening, okay? Be it early morning, evening, weekends, whatever. And Sheriff Gully had mentioned the same thing. So that would be a good possibility as far as setting up observations, with the Sheriff's Department and so on. And also a thing that was mentioned that I never even thought of with Sergeant Loomis saying that sometimes these signs are, oh, what do I want to say? For young people, younger drivers, it's a goal to see how high they can get the readout. With the capabilities of these signs, you can put a cap on them so that they don't read above a certain speed limit. Okay, so if you're some young fellow might want to go 80 and see if it registers at that, and so you can help avoid that situation. So there are a lot of excellent positive aspects to all of this. I did speak with Dave Fowle, who is one of the members of the Friends of Powell. So he said that they would be very happy to consider monies to offset what all this is about, as well as what you just stated, Tara. So hopefully with you folks, it's something that you'll very highly consider. And I would be most happy to work with whomever you suggest to follow it through.
And as I stated with the board earlier, I'm more than happy to continue this process, do the permitting, and that sort of thing. But I also wanted to point out, if these collect data, it might enable us to work with the state even more to say, get a crosswalk put in down by the school with a flashing light. If I have data that I can say, look at how fast they're going through our school zone. I mean, you can't even cross the street down there without like waiting, and then it's dangerous. So, the hope would be that this could help with even further
Maybe put up,
upgrades to our.
Because the whole process that anything that you do with the US highway.
Yes, it all has to go
Funded and
through the state and through the federal
process.
process.
Quick.
And I think it's you were a permit, I guess, is
Yeah, it's a permit for
required,
the
and Jamie, and then you have to go through that, but yes.
So I want to be clear. I know that we're not changing the speed limit or proposing to change the speed limit.
No,
We are just buying a more visible neon type of lit sign that posts,
It'll flash.
it flashes your speed as you go by, as we've seen I just want to make everyone clear of what we're talking about.
and
you know.
it will collect data for
Yeah.
us to use.
Right, so, which, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm assuming this, but I think I'm not making the right assumption, we can present this data to our law enforcement organization, Sheriff's Department, State Police, and we can say, man, every Friday from 5 PM to 9, it's really bad. Right? That data will be there, and we can present that to try to change things, or whatever the time frame is.
right.
That's where the data would come in,
Yeah.
useful to our law enforcement agencies. Am I correct?
Your interpretation is perfect, Mike.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And not only that, law enforcement, but state highway.
Well, yeah,
Because then we could turn around and say, here's the data. We really need to have maybe a stoplight so that kids can cross there during certain periods of the day.
Well, I appreciate you bringing in, I mean, I've definitely thought that signage around the school was inadequate for a long time. And I do know these signs closer to Boston, I've noticed, when it's giving you feedback, when you're hitting the speed limit, you get a smiley face.
Yep.
So if we can look into this smiley face option.
This has like
I
a
appreciate
cloud option.
Right.
And yeah, you can make those changes
Right.
through the cloud.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice system.
Yes. Speaking of that, I remember up in, I think it's Manchester, they had one, and it had
Bless you.
a little smiley face, but also it's with your speed. If you're under,
Yeah.
it says yup. And if you're not, it's no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know where that one
Mine's in
is.
with
I know exactly where
Yeah.
that one is.
So, okay, well,
Mike, do you need a motion?
Yeah, I would entertain a motion.
make them, I'll let you word it. You word it a hell of a lot better than I do.
I think my question is gonna come under discussion, but I need the motion first to purchase. a
I'll
sign
make
for
the motion that we
North
go forward with the purchase of two, speed, I don't know what you would call them,
Rapid feedback.
rapid feedback signs to place within, on Route 7.
Which within our 40-mile-an-hour.
Within the 40-mile-an-hour limit.
And authorize our executive secretary or executive assistant to pursue the proper permitting needed.
I'll second that unwieldy
The-
motion.
I'm gonna put the amount in there, the quoted amount that we have here of $7,222.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to have that in there so we know.
That's the one I was thinking to
A
order.
question, Mike? And I'm hopefully there's not gonna be no permit fees. How do we handle that?
There might be, but that's within my purchasing.
Okay.
That would be under my purchasing amount anyway.
Okay.
This is definitely not.
Good question.
Also installation,
Yeah.
with
think that's
solar,
fair.
it's not
It's not
too
nearly as
difficult,
much.
so
Yeah.
fortunately, yeah.
I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any discussion? I have, just a couple of questions. Because I think we need to make sure before we vote, we know where the money's gonna come from.
Mhm.
So what is the board's pleasure, on where we obtain the money? Where we take it from?
I believe Tara's suggestion was good.
Carl, just want to make sure that we know where it's coming from out here
That's fine.
on record and there's no
Yeah.
question of where the money's coming from.
So we have around 9,000 left over from Bill's salary in the general fund. That's separate from road, what Joel had. So if we use a portion of that to cover in this fiscal year till July 1, for the board secretary, that leaves plenty to cover
I
us.
think that's fine.
So, I have a motion and I have a second, and we are in agreement that the money's gonna come from that fund, that line item. Say, is that good?
That's good.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Thank you
Well, thank you.
for all the hard work,
And
David.
we'll look forward to
I'll be in
working
touch.
with you, Tara, and we'll
Definitely.
go from there.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you, brother.
Thank
See you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Community garden project discussion with Ashley Farrington.
I'm Ashley Barrington. I'm a resident of Powell. I've lived here since 2021. I live here with my husband and my two children. I work in Powell. And I want to propose that we set up a community garden on Center Street. The idea behind the program would be that it's run by community members. The whole thing is designed by community members and partners, like local partners. And it would be hopefully the first in kind of a network of community gardens throughout Bennington County, as an initiative to create a regenerative food commons, which was a goal set by the Bennington County Conservation District, and that's why Michael is here with me. He's already pledged his support, and so I'm here to ask you guys for your support too.
I think it's a great idea. Thank you for bringing it. I think
Do you have any ideas on where you would do it?
So I'm not really sure how the land on Center Street is parceled out. So it's kind of really up to you guys, whatever permissions you want to allow us.
And were you thinking about starting the garden this year, or is it something you're planning this year and then starting next
This
year?
year we mostly about forming the working groups and, getting the people together, getting the stakeholders in and planning and designing maybe some simple infrastructure towards the end of summer into fall. And then hopefully we'd be ready to plant by spring of next year.
You know the size you're looking for?
It can be as big or as small as Powell wants it. But I know that Pownell wants something like this, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen the visioning survey and and Power Pownell report. You know, this is something that Pownell residents do really want. I think we need, as someone with children here, it would be so nice to have like a nice outdoor recreational place where I can bring my kids and that doesn't cost me an arm and a leg.
So maybe would you want to work with the Conservation Commission in identifying an appropriate?
Well, wouldn't
place?
that be more Parks and Rec? Because that is part.
It could be
wouldn't
both.
Oh, both.
It could be either one.
Okay.
Like if you would work with them
And-
to identify, hold on one second, sorry. To identify like a couple of places that would work, maybe different size options, because I agree with you, people here do want that. And so then if you could bring back different options to the board, that might be helpful.
And I'll just add, Michael Fernandez, District Manager of the Bennington County Conservation District. Ashley was working with us as an intern for a short time, and towards the end of her internship, we applied, Ashley applied and I submitted a grant through the Vermont Community Foundation to begin that scoping process, as well as provide participant stipends. That's something we found really useful in all our public engagement efforts over these last few years. So like $25, $30 stipends for residents to be able to come in, give their input and do some really deep planning work. And there's also, I think it should be mentioned that the district has a number of pieces of equipment, primarily a BCS walk behind tractor that we've incorporated into our equipment cooperative that we're really hoping to support projects like this with. So Ashley and Powell, of course, will have the district's full support and backing as well as our equipment to make sure this works out and works well and is efficiently executed.
I've also spoken with Erin of the Bennington County Multicultural Center, and she has expressed that I can get in touch with her, and because they have an extensive volunteer network. So if we need help with the actual labor of it, she has offered those services as well.
Do you plan on, I mean, it is still a residential neighborhood. Do you plan to go through and talk to all the residents before you start work on that so that you can get?
So I have talked to a few people in the area. I wasn't sure if a townwide survey would be appropriate because so many have already been done. I kind of feel like people might be a little surveyed out. But I would be happy to host, you know, some kind of town hall or something like that
Wouldn't,
to get people to.
I was thinking of more of the neighbors. Basically, it's the neighbors on the street to go to talk to them.
Sure.
Because if you turn around and bring a project like that in here and you're not getting the neighbors buy-in on it, it's going to be very difficult for you to try to move forward. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I really want as much community involvement with this as possible. Because for me, that's going to make it so it's sustainable. I know that there was a community garden here in the past. I don't know why it failed, but I'm hoping that the process and kind of the methods that I want to use to get people really engaged with this will ensure that it's successful long term. So I'm absolutely open to door knocking, you know, marketing and things like that, trying to get people, you know.
I like the idea of working with Parks and Rec to identify a location also. I think that's.
I think we could do that. And also if you want a connection to some direct neighbors here as well, happy to connect you with them.
Yeah, I was hoping, as some support from the town that you guys could offer maybe a liaison, someone to represent the town and have these working groups and, yeah.
Usually me.
And also, you know, maybe some help with outreach and things like that.
Sure.
So what I'm hearing you ask for, Ashley, is the board's blessing to move forward with this, and the actual gardening portion of it wouldn't take place until 2026. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And I think we're on the right track. I think having Parks and Rec involved and in the Conservation Commission just maybe one from each or whatever. I also heard, that you're very open to meeting with the neighbors. I think probably we could probably maybe even set something up here where you have access to, instead of doing a door-to-door thing, you could have access to this room some afternoon, whatever your time schedule and the neighbors, you could certainly have a group in here from the neighborhood, to sit in here and talk about your project. I would think, and I'm not telling you how to do it, but I would think if you have some sort of a plan in place when you talk to the neighbors would be beneficial for you of your layout, where it's gonna be, all that kind of, rather than come in and say, oh, we're gonna do a garden, well, where, right? Just giving you my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to meet with the Parks and Rec and the Conservation Commission and talk about potential sites for that. To get a better idea of, you know, what moving forward, how it's gonna look.
Sure.
It's a great idea. And I think your idea too about the fact of opening it up to children.
And I will add also that I'm also, I have touched base with Pastor Jason with Faith Church. And I will be meeting with him on Saturday to actually
Excellent.
create another community garden at their new property on 346, so.
Good.
I'm gonna ask this because, will there be any, expenditure of town money at this point?
Not during the planning phase, potentially moving forward, 2026 and beyond, I might ask for some kind of support of a contribution of some form, but what that looks like now, I'm not totally.
Okay, we haven't crossed that bridge yet.
Right, yeah,
We're just saying yes to the concept, not yes to the actual project. Am I correct?
right, yeah, and a letter of support would also be really beneficial if we want to apply for grants or anything like that, so.
Yeah.
It will also be, I think it's really important to emphasize the importance of really good soil toxins testing in this particular environment. We're talking about a heavy urban area, for Vermont, at least the district considers these areas peri-urban or urban, which tends to lead to a lot of lead and other heavy metals. So the district will be providing that soil sampling support to make sure that the site that is selected is either clear of toxins or we're able to take remediation steps to ensure that people aren't intaking toxins.
It will make people sick by actually growing good food.
Yeah.
Right. Toxic tomato.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the,
Yeah.
letter of support from the board.
I'll move to.
I'll second her motion.
The board to give you a letter of support to move ahead with the planning of this community garden and support for that process throughout the next year, understanding that you will be working with the Parks and Recreation along with the Conservation Commission to come back to us with the plan when you have it.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Is that everything?
Yep.
Okay.
Those are a pretty good motion. I have a motion, I have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for taking that.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I think it's a pretty cool project.
Thanks to the Conservation District for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Good to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Have a good one.
No, that was,
Dave?
Oh,
When did he leave?
I bet he'll be back to his phone and his glasses.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Transfer station discussion and possible action. You're up, Tom.
So I sent you all those questions and I realized I never put the container conversation on the bullet points, so I added that to the end.
Okay.
Well, I did one price on new, or not new, used ones anyhow. I just scrambled to get that.
Did you see the map that I drew? Did you like the little map I
I
drew?
didn't see it.
I drew a map. You like,
Yes, that one. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest things that with the email that we got from Tara.
I gotta
I guess we can wait a minute for Carl back in, I guess. Yep. So I think one of the biggest questions, in an email that we got from Tara today was, to kind of get a project manager, to move forward with this, so we don't have to keep coming back to the board 100 times to make decisions so that we can move forward with this project.
And it's just more efficient if one person is making decisions based on what the board
Right,
has agreed upon.
right.
Because it gets a little too confusing because we have, Joel's got part of it, you've got some of it, Tom's got a lot of it, and it just is easy. We can get on the same page with one person that works with Tom to make sure everything's getting done.
I'd be willing to take that on.
You sure you have enough time? I mean, you're
Yep.
chairman and you're zoning administrator. I just don't want, no, do you, I'm just saying, Mike, that's all.
I know I have enough time. I can manage my time pretty wisely. To be honest with you. Yeah, thank you.
No, I have a list here.
What's the board's pleasure with that? I just think we need to have a project manager here rather than,
I will make a motion, yeah.
Do that.
What is the project manager's job is going to be what? I mean, it's, manage the project, but what will that entail?
I think it's a little bit, for lack of a better word, it's not very organized right now. We don't have site plans. We have no idea where anything's going over there. We have containers that were delivered that we don't know if we're going to lease them or buy them. There are things that have sort of been put in motion, and it's like a train moving and we just gotta
Okay.
slow it down. And
Like best practices too, right? And operation protocols.
Operation,
Understanding from OSHA, what's going on there. like-
absolutely, that's exactly correct, yes.
So
There's a lot.
can I ask a question? Because I feel like this was probably, I think this was started before I was on board necessarily. I know that you guys had the conversations and brought this in. Like, I'm not even quite sure how to word this. Like, who made the presentation to us? Did it look like there was going to be more support initially? Like how, like,
So I think the decision was made to buy compactors.
and I'm glad we did.
Money, which
Yes.
was a great.
I like that.
But then we didn't really appoint a project manager.
Okay.
We said, okay, Joel, you're gonna help Tom with the concrete. And so now we have 2 department heads and 2 select board members kind of helping with this. But
There's nobody in charge.
there's nobody in charge. And Tom is our department head at the transfer station.
Right.
He should be in charge of his policies and the way this is going. So I just want to make sure that we're not.
Yes.
well, Tom should be in charge of, as far as policies go, Tom should be in charge of policies that the select board puts in place.
Yes, but the policies that you all determine should be there.
Mhm.
Yes, or the operational procedures that you all determine.
Because ultimately it comes back onto us
Right.
as if something's
Oh, no.
haywire. So the board should be the one putting the policies
Correct,
in place
But-
with Tom's input.
correct.
Okay, what, not just us willy-nilly making a policy, right? So I just want to be clear on
I
that.
just wanted to have an idea. Okay, Mike's going to be the project.
Wait a minute, I just said I would take it on. I think the board needs to make that decision.
I'm using you as an example.
Okay, all right.
I'll use you as an
All
example
right.
because you're, all right, but whoever,
Yep,
okay.
yep, no, that's fine.
So they know when they go into this position exactly what's expected, because I don't want to put somebody in a position where we're saying, you're project manager, and that's it.
And I'm just using that term because I think that's
That's
the
like-
term to use because
It is.
Someone.
I'm getting very stressed out
And
watching from afar just the way it's going. And maybe I'm a little too by the book, but I'm like, we need to
I'll take that any day of the week.
position was to keep us out of trouble.
slow down.
Doing that. That's why you're
Fine.
doing this right now.
But like I said, like, I can do the best I can with like these drawings of a map and that sort of stuff, but is that really what we need?
I do think that's outside of your wheelhouse.
Yes.
I do think that is unfair to ask you to do that. I do not think you can be the project manager of this, nor do you want to be.
I don't want to be.
So, and
Sarah, could I have the pen up head?
and I do think, like, sorry, I'm laughing.
No, go ahead, go for it.
Like basic, like, oh, okay, are we trained on how to do this?
No.
Right.
Well, as far as what?
Like, do we, so we've got
The project
compactors.
manager part of
So
it?
we get the, no, of course you can do that.
Oh, okay.
But like the compactor, like the actual physical workings. So I agree. I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to save us money. I agree. We have to save money in this place. We can't keep losing money on the transfer station. And I love the idea of the compactors, but now it's just like the implementation. I'm just wondering, how we get
feel like
trained.
You have an understanding of how they work, right?
know exactly how.
And
Oh, so you're
he
good.
has the manual
Okay.
and he just handed me, he did take the lockout, tagout safety training.
Okay.
But we need it like a written procedure,
Yeah.
you know, we need, when does the maintenance happen? Is it
Right.
every 6 months, is it every year? Who's doing the maintenance? Passive insurance doesn't really want to hear that we're doing the maintenance. They rather we contract that out. So that's all stuff that we need to
Okay.
write into a policy.
And that was some of the questions that when we met with Casella,
Yeah.
we
Yes.
asked them to give us a quote on
They were very
as
lax.
far as the maintenance
They've been,
versus other.
they've been pretty lax on giving us any quotes, to be honest with you. Tom's not wrong there.
No, it's disheartening that the lack of input from that side of it, considering how long ago we met and we asked the questions.
Mike,
Yep.
how would you see this position?
I think the project manager, for, like Tara said, for lack of a better term, because things have been willy-nilly, okay? It's this person's talking to, for instance, Tom and I have both talked to Randy from Casella, okay? And I think that's where the, so I'm guilty of this as well. That's where we have two containers dropped off over there without this board making a decision on whether or not we're gonna own containers or whether we're gonna lease containers. Okay? So there's two containers sitting over there right now that no one technically has ordered. Okay? Tom or myself. It was assumed that we were gonna get the containers and lease them. Okay? So I think it gives us one contact person. Right now, I think there's too many contact people. I agree with this one's doing this and this one over here, and Joel's, we were gonna order concrete from this one, but wait a minute, this guy's a lot cheaper, so that's where we're gonna get the concrete from. And it turned out we got from the cheaper place. Okay, I wanna make that very clear.
Right.
But that wasn't the initial part of it. The initial part was we were just gonna call Peckham or whoever it is.
Well, we were more worried about getting the concrete in than turning around and shopping for the lowest price.
Exactly. Okay, so I think that's where, and I think this board's been guilty of not really preparing ourselves for this project. Not that it has cost us any extra money, because it hasn't.
No.
Okay.
But it could.
But it could have.
Right.
And I also think that moving forward, I think we've been trying I think things have been being pushed along way too fast, right? It's okay. The compactors are in place. They're bolted down. They're wired up. They're whatever.
Right.
Back to container in, hook it up, and we're going to use it. That's not how it works.
Right.
No.
It can't work like that. We don't have we have zero policies. We have zero procedures.
Right.
We have,
We don't have the certification.
we can't hook. It's not a good idea, in my opinion, to hook them up now and go for broke and start using them Saturday or Friday or whatever.
God, no.
We need to back up. We need to get some, there's a lot of things at the transfer station that need to be addressed. Okay, we just had the insurance company down, right? And we know what those things are. and we need to address them. The compactors is only one thing.
One piece.
That's one piece. I mean, it's a major piece and it's the biggest, newest piece that needs to be addressed. And to finish this project out and then move forward with the other things, I just think one person needs to be able to talk with Tom and say, hey, look at this is what we're doing, right? Or what, not this is what we're doing. What are your suggestions on doing this, that, and the other thing? And I could give you 100 examples, but I don't want to be here all night, right? So I don't want anybody to be here. Let's just get it done and move forward, right? So I think that one person who's that project manager,
Project, but I think you're looking, and I agree with you, the way you're looking at it. We've been myopically looking at these two compactors, and we haven't been looking at everything else there.
I have.
Yeah.
Well, but
I know, no, but
You know,
you're
you
right. And I'm gonna be the first one to sit here and tell you, Carl, that this is my 6th year on board, right? And up until now, I've turned a blind eye to the transfer station, okay? And I think that any board member that's been in here in the past will tell you the same thing, because the transfer station is it's that entity that just is there, right? And that's where, from a business standpoint, I have failed, been the board chair for 5 years now. I've failed by not being more involved in what goes on over there. Because when you're losing the amount of money that we are every year on this, we should have been doing something about it years ago.
but the empty boxes, you can throw the garbage in, and you know what? You move on to something else, and that's been the problem.
Exactly. And I'm not faulting anybody, okay? I'm
It's just the
faulting
way-
myself.
But it's just the way it is.
That's right. I'm gonna sit here and fault myself for this.
There's two things, and you're partially correct. And, because we've been working, if you look, we've been working with all the departments, and now we've been focusing more on transfer station.
Mhm.
And yet we haven't, the last 4 or 5 years prior, initially, didn't take and do a whole lot of focus on the transfer station, only on certain subjects within the transfer station. And now we're looking at the transfer station as a whole.
As a whole.
And, we're not trying to pick on you, Tom, or it's just a situation, it's been on the radar, but now we've got certain things have settled down, other projects that have been going on in town. Now we can focus and give you some assistance on that.
That's fine.
And yes, I mean, I didn't realize certain things until, I helped fill in, and then I was noticing a lot more things down there. And, the more you're there, the more you see, right, wrong, or indifferent. And everybody, I always look at it as the other eyes. That you move people around a business to see their input, because they look at something differently. You get there at the same time every day, you do the same thing every day, you get complacent. Right, wrong, or indifferent on that also. It just, that's not what we're here for. And I had said to Tara earlier that I wanted to get the manufacturer's information on the process, the PMs and all that, so I could look at it. And I hadn't mentioned it or sent an email out to the board yet, so I could take and try to start looking at a procedural thing and offer a suggestion with you. But without having that information in front of me, I couldn't take, and I'm not just gonna throw something out there.
I reached out to Williamstown for their policies and procedures handbook that they have
Yep.
for their compactors. I'll have it Monday. He's on vacation, took a couple days off.
Yeah.
This week, so I'll have that Monday. We can certainly build from that, take from it what is functionable for us, or anybody else for that matter that has compactors in place. And procedures and policies and tailor it to our situation. I don't think it's the same, but it's, there's definitely some similarities, right?
We take what's similar to us and we add what we need to.
That's right.
Setup's different.
So I'd like to go ahead and move forward with somebody who is the manager, project manager, or whatever you guys want to call it. Doesn't matter to me.
Mhm.
And just
For oversight.
so you're aware, some of these
Oversight.
questions will be answered in those procedural
That's right.
things.
Yep.
So they don't necessarily have to be answered tonight, like the procedures for lockout, tagout and the electric shut off policy and the maintenance on compactors, that stuff can wait until.
Yeah, I think we need the policy statement to do that, but it's also really helpful, I think, to know the things that need to be answered. I get it. Like,
Yes, but yeah, the big one is who's gonna work with Tom to get this done.
So what's your pleasure on project overseer, manager,
Yeah.
or however you want
Make
to
a
call it?
motion to support Mike's volunteered as project manager.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Just reach out if you need me to help you with something.
I'll reach out to anybody. That's fine. I'm not afraid to reach out if I need somebody to do something or whatever. And then, kind of report back and
And I think that works out a hell of a lot better.
I'd like to get a copy of the manuals though, so I can take and look at that. And then when we get the other, I can compare them and stuff.
Traffic pattern, I think that can be addressed. I think our insurance company addressed that a little bit.
Yeah, he said, changing it, not a great idea. Have them come down like they usually do. Can I see that map for a minute? Did you? No, you, right then. Yeah.
There, that's the scale.
So like when you come down, you go here to pay,
Yeah,
you come back around through this little cross and park here.
Right.
And then when you leave, you go back out this way and up and around.
so we'll have to put a sign up there.
But we're gonna need signage and we're gonna hopefully need probably arrows
We'll see how
painted.
Yeah,
Let's just see how it all plays.
it's gonna be a learning curve.
I think we can get, we can make the signage. Joel told me that he can make signage. I think arrows on the blacktop and that kind of stuff. I believe I can get equipment to, have that done, or we can contract that out as well, however we decide. I don't think that would be an incredibly expensive thing.
Joel might have most of the signs just kicking around there.
Yeah.
We don't need the top notch signs. We just need some that are
I think,
functional.
an arrow, the arrows directing people
Yeah.
around and.
A stop sign there at the,
That's right.
Well, the same it is, but you can always tell them how.
Yeah.
And here's what I wanted to say too. A lot of people have compost, and that's still gonna stay down at the shed. So a lot of people will be going down that way, and then they'll be coming back up, but we want to keep them on the right and cut across like everybody else.
Mhm.
So, I mean, these are things that I've been thinking about. And then they can go back up around there, and there's plenty of room to turn around back there. We have a lot of room.
Mhm.
And we're gonna get I gotta get the books moved back up there. Right, I wanna get it empty first.
I think one of the things that we have to really make sure of is that we don't have any pedestrian traffic behind the compactors where we can't see what's going on and that kind of stuff. Right?
That's why I want to have cameras.
you should have some like gates or something there.
That's right.
So people don't walk there. Camera ain't gonna do you no good.
There's definitely need signage that states that, so.
Or even maybe the designated parking spots for the composter, you know what I mean? Instead of it just being open.
Right.
Dirt,
That down.
it's, it's designated where you park
And,
for that.
and what we could do right there, where people have to come back around and go across, is just have that, like, no parking.
Mhm.
Like they have at the police station, so we have something like that, would definitely help.
Yeah.
A stop sign right there, for people coming in and so forth.
I think we need to get we need to try to get a Google map. You know what? I know what we can
This
do here.
was traced from Google Maps.
Well, but what we can do, I know exactly. We can get Carl Villanueva.
12:30 Sunday.
He's gonna come over and do that. Okay, you're ahead of me, Carl.
Can I make a picture of it?
We get Carl,
So he's coming over Sunday
good.
at 12:30. I'm going to do it for this, and I'm also doing it for a permitting.
Yeah.
So once I get that to and some other things I have to do yet.
Having Carl give us an aerial off
Yeah.
his drone.
Yep.
He takes great photos. Then we'll have it physically in front of us at our next meeting, and we can say, this is what we're doing right here. There's a stop sign gonna be here, there's a yield sign gonna be here, there's arrows here, whatever. Okay, perfect.
So much work.
Copies of that out once we decide.
Yeah.
I got that set up that Sunday, so
Okay.
we're good with that.
Good.
It's supposed to be a glorious day too, so.
I think we need the tires. We haven't made a decision on tires yet. I think that's a decision that needs to be made. Are we gonna take tires or aren't we gonna take tires?
What was your input on that last time? I'm trying to,
Well, I think we had 27 brought in on Saturday. So on green up day, what are we gonna do with them? That's one thing right there, but
right.
we don't take them, we just tell people to leave them, like, whatever.
My question to you is that the person that comes and gets tires, when do they come and pick tires up?
I need to call them.
All right, but
This is what I wanted to do, was find out if we're gonna take tires, then I can call them now and get them. But if we're not gonna take tires, next year, then I'm gonna have to wait until probably the very end of the month and not take any more. So that's one of the things I want, I've got a list here myself, what we're doing.
Because the new
Where are you
rules
headed
start
at?
July 1.
Because I wonder if we're thinking the same thing. Like, what if we,
why don't we just get rid of the tires? Because he might come, here's my thing. Okay, you're gonna call in a month from now. Well, he might not come down for another month to pick those tires up. And when was the last time did he come down to pick tires up?
Last year, when I called
Okay.
him. He said he'd be down on.
How many tires does he usually take on a pickup, on a load?
250,
How many tires do we have there right now?
about 275, 300.
Okay, so we have 2 loads of tires there right now.
Yeah, I mean, he won't come down for partial load.
I understand that, but wouldn't it be logical? Let's just get those tires, let's give him a call, get them in and pick those tires up. Because whether we have 50 tires or 100 tires, he's still not going to come down and pick tires up. You've already got more tires than what he's going to come and pick up. So let's just get them picked up.
I'll get them picked up, but where are we gonna take them next year?
well, can I ask this question if this is a possibility? What if we have a designated time period, right? Just like we have a designated time to bring in certain chemicals and things that you can't just normally drop off. What if there's,
That's run by the Solid Waste Alliance.
The chemical, but what she's asking.
right, but I'm talking,
I know,
right?
I know what you're asking.
Yeah, like, what if we did this?
That's run by somebody
No, no,
different.
no, 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 no. I don't want them to run it. What I'm saying is that what if that was kind of a model? Twice a year, people know that there is a time, there's a 2-week period where you can bring tires, otherwise you cannot, and then you have someone pick them up. Is that? I'm just wondering.
Give them like a month or something like that.
Drop your tires off in April, drop your tires off in.
There's 2 times a year, right, when people get tires. You get snow tires put on and you get summer tires put on.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
Mike, what does Williamstown do for their tires?
They don't take them.
They don't take them.
Bennington doesn't either.
Bennington doesn't take their tires. Bennington sends you to Bennington Tire.
He has a trailer and you back up and throw it.
And you back up and put it, and odds are we'll probably have to take the 100 tires that we're gonna have and take it to Bennington Tire and pay him and put them in there. I don't know how that's gonna get done, but if,
You're gonna do it.
those tire throwing days are long gone by
Master
now.
Road, I'll show you how to bring it.
But you know what I'm saying, Tom, is,
Exactly.
how many tires do you bring in a year?
Well, he's got, send a tractor,
How many-
load all that shit. 250.
250.
But see, we have 4 tires on a 3 dump day, and that's where the majority of them.
We shouldn't have free tires on dump day.
When he comes down and gets a load, does he take all of them or he just takes as many as he can fit? And there's always tires left over?
This guy just throws them on loose. This is a new guy. And, you know, he just sends a single guy down and he just pitches them on, because then stacks them on up and pisses more on. They used to have them, they say stack them.
Does he, so Tara's question is, does he take all of the tires or whatever he can get on the truck?
250.
So
Okay,
even
don't care how he gets them on there. He can put them, cut them up with a sawzall for all I care.
too many tires. That's a lot of tires.
Well, that was my point, is let's just get a load of tires out now.
Yeah,
Okay.
or maybe a couple times.
All right, and
There's that
then
many tires.
regardless of whether we make the decision to take tires or not, he should be coming down here and getting a load of tires out.
So are we just going to decide not to take tires? It sounds like we need to make a decision.
Right, I think we should need to make a decision. We beat this around and I'm sick of beating it around. Are we taking them around?
I think I'll make a motion that we stop taking tires at our transfer station
On July 1st.
as of July 1st. Just like, it's standardized in the rest of the communities around us. It's hard for us to take and get rid of them, and it's getting harder and harder, it seems like, every year to take and find a company to take and get rid of them.
Yeah, they're the only ones that stay
And
right
it's
now.
getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have any more discussion on tires? All in favor of not taking tires? Used motor oil. Or oil in general.
Oil period.
Hmm?
That was, Joel and I were talking about what they do with theirs is they just put them in, the drums.
Mhm.
And they roll the drums out and they take them up to Bennington. Take them on their trucks, take them up to Bennington, and load them up there and they burn them.
I went over there on what it was, whatever, Saturday, I think I was there.
Saturday, right?
Yeah, one day just blends into the next right now in town.
I understand. It's the same.
But I was there Saturday. The motor oil storage is still a problem, and we have to decide that, in my opinion. We have to decide how and what we're gonna do with that tonight and do it. And not look at the bin we have and whatever else is going on. So if we're gonna continue to take oil, then we need to come up with something that, in my opinion, or not in my opinion, in our insurance company's opinion or recommendations, is better than the way we store it now.
Correct.
Because the way we store it now is not,
Not kosher.
it's not.
We have a container that can be utilized if we put a roof over it. And the thing is, how are we gonna dispose of it afterwards?
That's right.
And I mean, it's one thing if we had local garages or people that had used oil burners or
Well,
used oil furnaces, excuse me.
There's people that'll come get it.
Then we'll take it.
That's right.
You know, they'd have to bring their own pumps, because I don't believe we have a pump to take and pump it out of that tank.
The 55-gallon barrel idea, Joel talked to me about that actually, is not a horrible idea
No, it's not.
because you can, I have a waste oil furnace. I don't, but theoretically,
Right.
let's say I did. Okay, I don't have one, but I have a waste oil burner in my garage or my warehouse. I bring an empty 55-gallon drum to the town of Pownell transfer station, right?
Mhm.
And I pick up a full one. And then
Yep.
Tom calls me again when that one's getting full and I bring another empty and I rotate it out. Right? That to me makes way more sense because we can take a 55-gallon container
right,
and we can put it inside the trailer,
right.
but we can also take that 55-gallon container and we can have it in another container that will contain that if it spills.
Right.
Okay? That's the most important thing,
Yes.
right? So the most important, that's right, the containment center
Right.
needs to be bigger by a little bit than
Halfway.
what your,
Correct.
okay, than what your container is. That to me is the biggest thing. So we can certainly take that you know, if we have, however we set it up, I'm sure we can find a pretty good idea how to do that, but it needs to be done. We can't keep talking about this to this meeting and then bring it back on the 22nd and then bring it back the second week in June. And then again, it needs to be done now. Whatever we decide needs to be done.
Here's the thing, like you're putting in a containment thing like that. We're gonna have power in there. I'm running power over so we can have some lights in there. Too many times I've been in there, the door's blown shut and you can't see anything. And, so what we do is we get a pump in there, pump it into their thing and not even move ours. That would
be good.
The easiest thing to do.
Mike, we're beating a dead horse. I'll make the motion that we accept oil on a 25-cent charge. And we'll figure out the details after. We'll do the 55-gallon drum.
25 cents?
That's what Bennington charges, 25 cents per quart.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking if I bring in 50 gallons.
No. 25, Bennington charges 25 cents a quart.
Okay.
Okay.
And that will handle being handled.
Okay, that works.
That works for me.
Okay.
Can I,
And then we'll,
Hold on.
go ahead.
no, I just need to back up. Did you say you're putting electric in the storage?
Yes.
Okay, that's why we need a site plan.
That's right.
If we're gonna have electric underground and all that, we need it
Oh,
drawn out.
Right.
See, this is why we need a project manager. No one, I don't think a board member knew we were putting power in those buildings.
I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Not till tonight.
That's why we can't, Tom, we can't be making those decisions. You can't be making those decisions. We're the ones that are responsible when the insurance company comes down and says, what the hell is this?
Money.
Yeah.
And it's probably not cheap to run electric over to the storage.
And we gotta look into,
I'm not saying we don't need electric, but we have to know what's going on.
Okay.
You know, we as the board have to, we're writing checks for all this stuff every
Every week.
Every week, we write a check for electric or monthly or whatever. And, you know, so we need to know what's going on.
So
Okay.
we are going to accept oil on a 25-cent surcharge or whatever you want to call it per quart. And we'll do the 55-gallon drums with a catch basin around it so that if there's a spill of some sort, the oil goes into the catch basin and does not go into any place else.
and that'll be stored in.
And if there's details to be figured out, we'll let the site manager figure out the details.
there you go, Mike.
Perfect.
But because here's the thing, when you get into at that point, a lot of these little minor details you won't be able to figure out until you're there doing it.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second your motion.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any more discussion on this? That will start on July, the 25 cent per.
Start July 1st.
Yep, just so everyone's clear because of the
Yep.
fiscal year.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, now,
I have a motion to have a second. All those in favor?
now, Mike, on the construction, you want to move all the construction inside, correct?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, now the scrap metal. What I'd like to do with that would be put that where the first outside dumpster is, where the construction dumpster is now. I mean, they can't put their refrigerators and stuff, but they have a dryer, washer, lawnmower. They can just get pushed right in there. You can set up on top and smash them down.
Yep.
A lot easier. You can just reach up over and smash.
Yeah, no, I'd rather have it there.
Okay with that?
Yep.
All right, yeah.
The only question I have there, and because I'm drawing a blank right now, are we going to have to, or maybe there is one there, have a safety rail
With a barway.
with an opening, like a gate type of opening? Because I think the insurance company's telling us that, right?
We have a chain goes across there.
Which area?
But where the scrap metal's going,
Yeah.
there's a chain across there now, and I'm just drawing a blank in my mind without.
There is, but the thing's been bent, so it needs to be straightened out.
We need to make sure that we have proper railing
Yeah.
around that dumpster.
Like a chain,
Yeah,
put two posts with a chain or just. something.
whatever we have proper, we have to make sure. I like the idea of the metal where they can get up there and compact it with the backhoe. We just have to make sure we have the proper safety rail. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't find it out of my,
Yeah.
2 minutes ago.
We could, what we do there, we get, we just get some heavy poles, you know, some 6x6s down in. And then put some big eye holes and run two chains across that with snap hook.
Yeah, something, just, we have to, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
So we'll get those replaced.
Yep.
Heavier chains. All right, let me just make a note on that right now.
And the construction debris is going undercover so that we're not paying for water weight.
Yeah, right. So there, now I'm gonna have to have, I want to keep one, like the number 2 dumpster actually, or the number 1, I don't really care. It has a cover on it because if a unit goes down, we have to have someplace for them to put it. So, and we need to have a cover over if it's trash. So it has to be number 1 or number 2. We got to keep for an extra there. We can do one down, on below there for, commingle and the paper and so forth. That'll all be the same anyhow. So, you know, if these things go down, we're going to have 2 spares. We'll have three construction. We'll have the ones for the chairs, mattresses and things like that. And then we have the
Household furniture.
household furniture and stuff goes in that one. That's all goes into the construction. And then the other 2 are more like regular construction.
Isn't constructed.
It really doesn't matter because now they're all under the roof. It doesn't matter. Just put them all in together.
Right.
Just throw the stuff off.
I just have a huge problem when we pay by the ton, when we're paying for water that's 8 pounds to a gallon. It adds up really quick, okay?
That's why we try to keep everything, the little soaks up in the 3rd dumpster down.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. When we're paying eight pounds a gallon, we're paying by the ton. We've spent a lot of money for water.
But a lot of that stuff, Tom, you're talking about this stuff's gonna be figured out in our total plan. Okay,
Whatever you make your plan up.
all right, you know what I'm saying? It said, I agree with you with a lot of this stuff, but until the project manager gets into looking at it all and then submits it to us.
Right.
Well, the other thing about the scrap metal, it's okay to be outside of that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the scrap metal being outside. The metal doesn't absorb
snow in the winter.
Yeah, metal doesn't absorb the water.
Right. No,
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, so we're good there.
Your concern is
All right,
you're holding the water and weighing.
Now, one of
The
the.
water should come out of that container when they
That's what
tip
I was
it.
wondering, yeah,
Yeah, when they tip it up.
okay.
Yeah. My problem is when the furniture is sheetrock and insulation.
Who's gonna make up all the rules? You want the rules that I have already in place? And then you look over and make changes if you think you need to make them, or should I just?
I'm not gonna make a whole bunch of changes by myself.
That's coming back to the board.
The board's gonna make these changes.
That's what I'm saying. I'll send you the
So
copy of everything we have. I'll send you the copy of the free dump day. And if you know, of course, you're gonna take the tires out, but that's.
I think that everything starts over in a month and a half to almost 2 months, right?
Yeah, well, I've got to get a lot of printing done and stuff ahead of time.
Right. So, I'll have a copy of the policies and procedures from Williamstown on Monday. He's gonna send it to me, a PDF and to my email. I don't think we're not gonna go by that verbatim for sure. We have our own policies and stuff already in place, so we're gonna fine tune. My idea is to fine tune what we have and make it more efficient.
Yep.
Because we're not efficient and we haven't been, and we just need to get there. And we're on the right track, okay? We're on the right road, we're on the right track, we've made all the right turns, we just gotta keep moving forward, but now we have to slow up a little bit to get everything so that we don't go backwards.
Inner workings.
Yeah.
In the right.
Well, I'll tell you, I'd like to get the stuff to the printers, things for the cards and for the for the signs, one of the days were closed, so we're going to go over what my turn on the schedule is for this, the coming year, 25, 26.
Now, one thing that I'd like to propose to the select board right now, this is a thought I've had, okay? Because when we put these compactors into operation, okay, if we're gonna ask, I think we're asking too much of Tom when we put these in place for one person to try to be there and direct people,
Yeah, I noticed that on Saturday when I was there.
okay?
Yep.
I think this is my opinion, Tom, you tell me if I'm way off base, whatever, and I'm not trying to step on your toes. I think it should be our job to be there when we put these in place and help Tom to get people acclimated to going into the
That'd
compact,
be nice.
okay? So Tom can be there and he can take his money
Yep.
and we can be board members helping, look at Jamie here, you put your garbage here, you put your recyclables here, go down there type thing. So I think that we need to be trained on the operation once we come up with the procedures and how we're gonna do things.
That's gonna be.
I think we all need to go over there on pick a day. And it really can't be a Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday, right? Because it's open.
Right.
Right? So I think we need to pick a day when we can go over. And we can probably call it a working session, right? It's not a board meeting. And I don't want to violate open meeting law. I don't want to go through that.
It'd be a training session.
It could be a work session for the select
For
board.
select board, it'll be a work session.
That's right. So that we can go over there together. And then when we open, whatever day it is, we pick a day, whether it's a Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday, we can all be there, or as many of us can be there. It's another working session so that we can help people understand what we're trying to do
Yeah.
and try to help you so that it's not all on you.
That'd be nice. Yeah, this has been kind of weighing on me a little.
I know. And I don't want to put that on you to try to tell people on a Saturday when you got 8 cars backed up and the beep, 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 because nobody's patient and they're blowing the horn. No, that's our job.
Oh, yeah.
Just my opinion.
Okay. Now, what I wanted to do, is just go over, I mean, it's only going to be a few days that we're closed. The 4th of July is on a Friday, but I'd really like to have a weekend off.
Shame on you.
I know. Really. I'd like to take this.
When is the fourth?
Why don't you take the 4th and the 5th?
Yeah, why don't we close that weekend?
Yeah.
Why don't you take both days? You never.
But maybe take those.
My wife wouldn't know what to do with it.
No, maybe take those 2 days and maybe.
Yeah, maybe we should ask her first.
Oh, no, she'd love to. Unless she has.
I'm kidding.
unless she has
You know, Mike,
You're gonna
maybe
post
close
it. It's a
the
holiday weekend.
Friday, Saturday. And open either on give it, because everybody's gonna have the garbage from the 4th of July.
Yeah.
So maybe you open on a Monday. So people, but what I'm saying to you is if you're gonna close.
Carl, I think we close Friday and Saturday for the 4th and the 5th, and we open the following Wednesday and get back to our schedule.
Okay, all right.
You know what? Here's the thing. We're going to start selling permits on Wednesday.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, I have a pretty good system set up there. I've had it for years.
Right, well,
Yeah, it's all color coded. Everything is.
all right.
It works out
All
well.
right, well, that's minutia that can get dealt
Let's
with.
go now.
Tara has
Friday,
something.
November 27th, we're done.
I'm not worried about your days off.
Tom, let's not worry about them. Tara
That's
has
another
something.
day.
Well, I need to get this stuff to the printer. That's the whole problem.
Okay.
I don't think a lot of the
that's-
stuff with your rules and stuff changed though, other than the tires and the
Other than
oil.
tires, basically.
Tires and the oil.
Tires and the oil.
Right.
That's
I
really
think-
all that's going to change.
I
you
think
know.
so.
I mean, the rules. say it's-
I don't think there's a big problem with the days off because I think you're asking sounds like you're asking for the 4th of July, the day before Thanksgiving. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, the
day
day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But at noon on December 24th and noon on December 31st.
Yeah, that's more than reasonable.
What's that?
That's it. That's it. It's all written.
More than reasonable.
I think we're good, Tom. Print those out there.
So
And I
my
can go ahead and work this up and get it to, the printers because of the signs, I'd like to get those out as soon as I can. Get them up,
Sarah had something else.
So you were talking about Tom being there alone. That was one of the questions. So Tom currently is the only employee at the transfer station. He has Paul filling in with him. But the board needs to decide if they want one employee there, two, or what that's gonna look like.
Before we make that decision, I think before we make a decision on one or two employees, for the fiscal year, the fiscal year starting July 1st. I think before we make that decision, I think we'll have the compactors in place. I think we'll be able to determine better if one person can do it. And
After we've been on site.
and getting some feedback from
People.
Tom.
And
So
I
I was gonna start mowing.
Right.
okay.
Yeah, Paul mowing, but we started mowing pretty directly, so.
So I don't know who do we put over there? Because the last time we
Everything else.
advertised it.
Can you run back home?
It's making funny.
Sorry, I couldn't help.
Yeah, so Joel's gonna want Paul to start mowing
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Anna knows how to.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm well aware of that. So.
In the last time we advertised, we didn't get a ton of interest in that part-time role. And I also would really hesitate to advertise something that's like, because once you hire someone in that position, they're there. Like you have.
we're gonna have the place up and operational, hopefully before July 1st, am I correct?
Yeah, I'd like to have it in next month.
I would like that we would turn around and go in with Tom and see what it is.
I agree. I think we need to be there, like you're suggesting, for that day, like that we show up, that we work that with you and have a much better idea.
And I think we need to, so this is my opinion on that, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, you have 50 residents that show up every Wednesday and you have 75 residents that show up every Friday and then 150 that show up, and I'm just being hypothetical with numbers, but the same people show up every Wednesday, the same people show up every Friday, and the same people show up every Saturday, right? Is that pretty much?
Very, very, very accurate.
Right. So I think it's gonna be a 3-day process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that we're gonna have to be there. It doesn't have to be all of us on every single
Yeah.
given day. But I think we really need to be there for those first 3 days for sure, so that we can help people. And the people that go there are gonna pick this up because we're gonna really
Yeah.
try to make it very simple.
Yeah.
For people to pick
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But this has been my line of
Yeah.
thinking on that,
Yeah.
how to make this work.
Sounds good.
Now, we have one more thing I'd like to talk about is I'm gonna have somebody to fill in. If I get sick, I'm going hunting for sure, from Thanksgiving on, there's no two ways about that. My wife said, oh, my granddaughter graduates from college. I said, well, I'll miss that. I'm sorry. I'm going back to PA, just the way it is. And, so, I'm gonna have to have somebody fill in there. And, I'm not, thank God, I don't have any more operations scheduled, so I'm good shape there. But, we'll have to get somebody to come in
Yep.
and,
I'm gonna take the lockout, tag out
okay.
I'll
class
take it out with you, Mike.
myself because it's an online thing, right?
Oh, it is? I didn't realize.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that.
It's this afternoon.
Yeah,
Oh, I
I'm
didn't
gonna-
even know. Congratulations.
I'm gonna take that,
I graduated.
just so that I'm familiar with the whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've done similar things, but not that one, so.
Well, and then what I requested from Tara to get is a key lock cabinet. I'm gonna bolt onto the storage unit there. And then that's where we're gonna keep the lock, tag and stuff, and we're gonna keep all the keys for the operation of the units, the keys to get into the electronics and so forth, and all that. So all those keys are gonna be put in there and tagged, there's like 50 tags or something like that with it, I think.
All right.
So with that said, I could not read that email. I responded and said, did you order that stuff or was that a
Oh,
list for you to
I sent
order?
it back to you. I said, I did not
All
order it.
right, so we'll figure that out after. You'll be in tomorrow. so
Oh, I'll be in tomorrow.
I will connect with you on that tomorrow.
All right.
We did.
So we're gonna get a procedure set up for the lockout, tag out. We don't have that in place right now. I want to read Williamstown's, why reinvent the wheel?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We can.
The maintenance, we need
Same.
to reach out to Randall again. And because we asked him specifically the day we were there.
Yeah.
For those numbers,
Yeah.
we need to reach out to him again.
Well, he sent a thing today too, that,
He did.
Only on the dumpsters, but not on the maintenance.
Right.
no, not the maintenance.
Yeah, he's-
Right. So, I'm going down the list here, that's all.
No, I know.
The eye wash station needs to be replaced over there. It's something that needs to be done. The insurance company says it needs to be done. I think we just,
He suggested a total haul out and reorganization of your shed.
No. All we need to do is move the
It,
air conditioner around, move that thing
it
up.
does
The
look a
insurance
little-
company
it does
suggested,
look like it could really use a haul out. I mean,
there's probably stuff from when my brother was transfer station back in the Stone Ages.
The old eye wash
Because there's
station's still on the
shelves up right
wall.
there.
Like the old eye wash station should come down, like
That's my radios, that's my radio stand.
it's,
it needs to be, the whole thing, because our insurance company said it needs to be cleaned out and reorganization of the pay shed due to not having room for necessity. It needs to be done by our insurance company.
Period.
Not that we're asking or suggesting, our insurance company says, and they gave us a date.
they did, and the eye wash station should not be on the heater. So that's the main reason you really gotta kind of organize a little more.
So that's another reason.
I
for
know
project
space is
manager.
very limited.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that, but you can use the space a little bit differently.
Just get it organized.
I can make a shelf for your radio.
Tom, I'm on the same page as you. Go look inside my garage in my house, okay? It's a mess.
It grows on you, trust me.
So we have to develop and do trainings.
But that's.
But that, we can do that after we look at the Williamstown procedures and see where we're at. There's no sense reinventing the wheel again.
Yeah.
Which brings us down into our containers now, right?
Yep, so they were, Casella said we could rent them for the $275 per container per month. However, if we buy 2 containers, which through them would take some time, as he said. I don't really remember the cost, but basically we would
They were about
rid of
$13,000.
$175 a month. They would go into their rotation, so we wouldn't always have our containers. We would sometimes have theirs, but it would get rid of that fee. And Tom found some containers. These ones are refurbished from the same company that we purchased the compactors from for $7,500 per box.
So
1,500.
Shipping, yeah.
Shipping. So they would be, if these were acceptable to sell us, they'd be paid off in 2.5 years.
So I asked Justin this afternoon what they do. Okay, and once again, why reinvent the wheel? They rent their containers because the life expectancy of a container is less than 6 years from brand new. Because they are, no, it's not the stress. The bottoms rot out.
Yep.
Because they are transported open all through the winter months in the Northeast, and they never get washed or rinsed off on the underside.
Okay.
So the salt, road salt is the huge enemy.
Yep.
To the containers. That's what Justin told me this morning. The bottoms, the sides, great, top, great, bottom, gone. Less than 6 years.
And if we buy a refurbished one, we don't know how long we're gonna have with that before we
So
start.
that's why they do what they do.
All right.
Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. It's just a question.
And because we decide to rent them today, doesn't mean that a year down the road, we don't decide that, you know what, renting it really isn't where we want to own it.
Because my concern is we did this to save money on the hauling fees, which you did the math, it's gonna save us like 5 hauls and all this. That'll be eaten by the rental
Yeah,
fee on the
it's right up.
containers.
It's the rental fee on 2 containers is $550 a month.
That's a good portion of what
Which
we
is
were going to
66
save in hauling
$600 a year.
Yeah.
So it's,
Right. No, I understand.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that buying's not the way to go or the refurbished ones. Here's my guess, the refurbished ones have got new bottoms in them.
Probably
Just a thought, if that's the problem,
replated.
right?
Well, they'd be refurbished.
What did-
Yeah, but that's probably what the refurbish is new bottoms.
you did.
Yeah.
So,
Because the refurbished ones were 7,500 plus delivery, right?
so the
So
$9,000.
that was $9,000
No, 16,500.
plus delivery
That is delivery.
for both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 for both delivery.
Those them delivery.
So Casella did
They
not
asked 2
give
and a
us a
half years,
price.
60s.
He said they gave you a price before of around 15, I believe, but then he said he would get us pricing as soon as he had it. It's kind of all over the place because of the threat of tariff.
Oh, yeah, because where do you think the steel comes from? Not here.
Well,
So,
Not yet.
so right now, I mean, what does the board think about keeping the containers that are there for now? But I did want to just say that Casella commented that we didn't have any containers of our own. We do have documented 2
Yes.
containers on our asset list.
And they're both there.
Ellen gave me the backup for that. We have receipts and stuff, just so that everybody is aware, we do have 2 containers of our own.
No,
The rest of them belong to Casella. Just to
Yeah.
state.
I would hope they would at least give us a price so that we could say yay or nay, but
I think they said they would, and I'll reach back out to them with the other questions.
we could continue to rent for now.
well, I hope we don't have to pay rent until we start using it.
I will ask.
he's been pretty reasonable to deal with, honestly.
Yeah,
Takes a little while to get information back, but he's been pretty reasonable. So, Tom, do you have any more questions? Or are you good?
No, that's pretty much everything I had on my list, so.
Okay.
I hope I've answered all your
Yeah,
questions.
for sure. I think we're good with this transfer station thing moving forward. I'll get that stuff from Justin on Monday. I'll get with you, I'll get you a copy of it. And we'll sit down at some point here or whatever and go over it. You know, what pertains to what we're doing, what doesn't, what we need to modify, what we don't.
Yeah, Jamie, you wanted a copy of the manual?
Yeah, the operational, and
I'll
then
just bring that in.
it has the PMs and that stuff.
actually,
I'll just bring it in here and run it through the thing. Just get another notebook and put it in.
And then we can reach out to Randall for the,
Yeah, I'll do that.
maintenance, what maintenance looks like
if you,
from him. I can also,
I'll let him finish.
we can also see if there's private companies that do preventive maintenance, you know, maybe Joel's compactor service or whatever. I don't, you know, maybe there's a private company that we could hire.
I couldn't get a hold of the guy in Latham that they bought that one down Williamstown from. I couldn't get it, but they rebuilt them and serviced them down there. I couldn't get a hold of them at all.
Yeah, I don't know, but we can certainly look into that so that we decide what we're gonna do with the maintenance.
That's not what they asked Williamstown.
Okay,
Tom,
ready? Thank you, Tom.
You're quite welcome.
Anybody have any questions for Tom before he leaves?
I have one. Tom, could you know the model numbers for those compactors?
Every one side of it.
Okay, when you go over, could you write them down and put it in an email and send it to me?
Well, I might be able to.
Okay. Because no.
Tomorrow you can probably drive over and get yourself. I live right next to it.
Oh, wait a second. Probably, yeah. I won't be there Saturday for garbage. But no, I come across those manuals online.
Yeah, we have it.
Online.
Yes,
No,
yes.
She got it
I live
online.
next door to it.
You did.
I have it.
I just bought a dump sticker. That was something I thought about maybe at some point addressing, but we won't do that today.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tom.
Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, board secretary position discussion and possible action.
So we've been toying around with the idea of hiring someone for board secretary, and we have interviewed Kate Coe for a couple of the positions that we've had open in the past. And we're kind of thinking she'd be a great match for that role. However, the board didn't discuss in open session what they want this role to look like as far as pay and the amount of hours. And I don't really think you can say an exact amount of hours, but maybe like
We can certainly do a
up
range.
to a
Yeah, a
certain
range.
amount or something like that. Hannah and I have been brainstorming. We're gonna have to, we're gonna have to get her an email and we're gonna do passwords for like Zoom and the website and things so she can really just take on that role without having to have one of us helping her.
Do you have a job description for this?
We don't, but we'll have to develop it.
Yeah.
I wrote out everything that I do before, those like a step-by-step guide for her too.
Yeah.
You end up hiring her.
So once you all decide the amount of hours and the pay, then I will put that all into a job description, which I'll bring back to the next regular meeting, just so you know how
Yeah,
we usually do it, and then you all will approve or
And
not.
my job description would have to be changed too.
yeah. I was gonna say if we could do that, that would be super helpful. At least it would be for me. Not all of us have been here.
When we were gonna have her start?
If I know your job description better and
Well,
Tara's.
I guess that's either a question for Tara or Mike.
Yeah.
When would we think about having her start? July 1st?
I'd rather her start now.
I'm asking. Start as soon as,
Start ASAP so that,
I think there's a couple things, right? First, we have to decide if we're going to, if we're gonna hire, add this position. Right? That's first and foremost. But before we add the position, we kind of need to know exactly what it's gonna be, which we sort of have an idea. So it's going to, correct me if I'm wrong, it's, this person is going to be running planning commission meetings, right? Through Zoom and doing doing minutes, recordings and stuff for planning commission. It's gonna be this person is gonna be doing Concom, right?
Tom's pretty self-sufficient though. I don't
they
know.
are, but I do think that
About
she should
Parks and
help.
Rec.
She would take on not just the minute part, but posting the agendas,
Yep,
putting them
yep.
online, putting them on Facebook, all of those pieces.
All of those pieces
Hannah and I are
of those
doing.
and I
things.
think,
Now, it's my understanding that Hannah wants to maintain DRB. Or is that changed?
There was, either way is fine, I'm fine with doing everything for DRB or Kyle, I think it was Carl that threw around the idea of me sitting at the table with DRB and then Kate taking over
Yeah.
as like board secretary. I just do want to be involved since
I like that idea. I just want to
I
have.
prefer that idea a lot more, because
I
think that we have the person to fill your spot, and they fill your spot for all the boards, except for select board, but all the other boards.
Right.
Then it's simple. Everything, and then for DRB, because technically you are the point person. You're the one that's doing all the, you're Mike's assistant.
Exactly.
So.
She has all the answers. She gets.
Yes, she does.
Well, she does. I give her the answer.
Well, and your place should be up here, not sitting back there. If you look at all the other boards, if you look at Bennington's, if you look at, I believe, they have a rep, or at least somebody there on the board.
I like the idea. But I didn't want you to be, so I would rather have you sitting up here with DRB as well, rather than back there running the meeting and trying to weigh in.
And then we also, if I have something to go to, Hannah can then sit here and Kate could be over there.
Exactly.
Or that
Yeah.
way, if one of us gets sick or we have, I know my son's sixth grade graduation is a Thursday meeting night.
God bless.
I will not be here.
Wow.
So, things like that obviously come up sometimes.
So I think we have a direction, right? We
Yep.
know what that person's gonna be doing, right? So now I think we need to
Get it.
talk about, entertain a motion to hire a secretary, a board, and board and commission secretary other than the select board.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Any more discussion on that?
So are we gonna get, just one thing, like understand the range of hours per week? So can you all give us a better understanding so we can nail that down, what that's gonna look like, how long you think it should take, how much time someone should spend in that position?
So planning's been having one meeting,
They were back to
Or two.
2 a month.
2 meetings for planning, 1 meeting for Concom, 1 meeting for Parks and Rec, usually 1 meeting for DRB. That's per month.
Yeah, they're gonna end up with, which is kind of rare, but they're gonna end up with like 2 or 3 meetings in the next month and a half or so, but that's pretty
It really
rare.
varies. So say like
That's right.
5 to 7 meetings.
Right.
5 to 7 meetings per month.
Mhm.
The meetings are at least an hour each, and then minutes. I don't know how long, she said she's really great at typing, but if you give her an hour per meeting for minutes, do you think that's reasonable? I don't know. I haven't done minutes in so
Planning
long.
meetings are gonna be longer now because they're doing
Okay,
health
stuff.
plan updates or.
So we're talking about maybe 40 hours a month if you consider everything else she has to do outside of those meetings? Roughly.
That would probably be,
Yeah, we didn't do
that would
estimate.
be very, yeah. I doubt it would be that much.
I think it would be enough,
That would be, yeah, more than enough.
yes.
It shouldn't exceed.
So maybe
Shouldn't exceed
start,
that.
so maybe you think, I'm looking at your faces, start at 30 hours a month and with the flexibility to flex an additional 10?
How was it? 20?
Okay.
You think 20 is enough? 20 to 30?
I mean, there's gonna be a learning curve. in the-
Why don't we try 20 to 30 and see how that works and come back
And it
and,
might not even be close to that. It really depends on the month.
right.
Depends on what's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Should we put a not exceed level or how you want to do that?
What are we thinking about for pay? Because that also helps me kind of figure out hours. Our last board secretary, I think, made around 18, but that was years ago. I mean, that was like
So we do
Rebecca,
20.
I think.
I thought we were either 19 or 20.
I would do, yeah, 20 to, I was thinking 20 to 21.
Thought it was closer.
But
For some reason, 26 in my head, the
20.
time we had somebody help out.
I think that when that person was just the board secretary, it was 18 and then it went up because her position changed.
And we're doing more.
Yes,
Yeah.
when she was.
Yeah, it became more like a
But
board
years ago,
liaison.
a long time ago, so I feel like
Yeah.
20 years.
20.
So,
Start them at $20 an hour.
I don't know. I feel like I'm thinking about what's going to be entailed other than the meetings as well. I mean, 20 is fine, but I'm also thinking, I don't know, is 22 more reasonable? I mean,
And we figured for hours.
You have to be careful of other staff's pay.
yeah,
Because once you go over 20,
Yeah.
you're already.
yeah, it's true.
People.
Okay, so why don't we say 20?
I think starting somebody at $20 an hour right now is not an unreasonable thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we have to be very conscious of, current employees and staff when it's raise time.
That's right.
I
And we're talking 40 hours a month,
think, when we saying
20 to 30.
20 to
20
30.
to
20 to 30.
what if we said not to exceed 30 hours a month right now?
Start with.
Yeah.
So I have a motion, I have a second to add a board secretary, board and commission secretary. We'll take that first. We'll take that motion first. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now I'll entertain a motion to have a pay rate of $20 per hour and the hours not to exceed 30 hours per month.
Can we change that? I don't think we should exceed 20 because honestly, then we start. Well, it's 20 per month. Okay, no, sorry, ignore me.
We're talking 600 a month. so-
I know.
I know what you were thinking.
I just don't wanna, trigger any other.
I know exactly where you're going, but it's the other way's a week.
And then there's all these.
It's a week, not a month on the other stuff, so.
Right.
That was a month, that gives them 5-ish hours a week. Some weeks they won't have meetings,
Right.
that you could start at 20 and then come back and
I think,
adjust it if you
yeah.
needed 30.
Yeah, I think 20 is good.
I'll entertain a motion then to start this person at $20 per hour, 20 hours per month.
I'll make that motion.
I second it with a purview of if Tara or Hannah sees that they're getting close, they can come to the board and let us know because of special circumstances of what's going on. So,
I have a motion, I have a second with an addendum. Any discussion? All those in favor? I'll entertain a motion to hire Kate Cody for this position.
so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
That position to Kate, see if he takes.
American flag purchase for phone pole in town, discussion and possible action.
So like we did last year, kind of last minute, we bought some flags. I cannot remember how many, maybe 20. I bought whatever was in the store.
Yep.
To match the flags that the fire department and the American Legion put up on the poles. So I jumped on Home Depot to see how many I could get this year. I think I can get 50, which is like $888. So I could have made that purchase. It's within my purchasing limit. However, I thought it was good to just have the board.
Are we replacing all the ones from last year?
I think what they do is they reuse the ones that are still in good shape and then once they get those up, they add to other poles because it comes with the mounting hardware and everything.
I'll entertain a motion to purchase 50 flags.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any more discussion?
You might want to take a look at the American Legion website because they do bulk ordering. So sometimes they can get better pricing.
I'll check with the Legion also to make sure that they want to order on it.
I don't know if it's like a local, but they're National American Legion.
Yep.
So that's who we order a lot of our flags.
I know, and they had other exemptions too, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the honor tax exempt and all that.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Spark grant.
Okay, so I just got a press release that there is an opportunity for us to apply for the Spark grant again. We were invited to apply because we have applied in the past. It's been used, I believe, for the skate park and maybe the ice skating rink at one point. And maybe the garden also. So the Spark Connecting Community Competitive Grant Program at the Vermont Community Foundation. Spark supports emerging grassroots projects that nurture community and build social capital. The idea for this grant application would be to possibly get some picnic tables, garbage receptacles, and signage for our Clayton Street Park that has kind of been forgotten about. It was gifted to the town years ago.
I think there's just one trash receptacle down there.
Yeah, there's not much down there that sort of designates it as a town park. And I think it would get a lot more use if it was advertised as a town park, and the library is right there that has a lot of great resources they can use at the river. I know Hoorah really was, when we mentioned it to them, they were excited to help us with it and put it on their maps and brochures. Any questions?
I'm from East Pownell. So anything down in Pownell, I have a vague idea. Where is it?
Okay, so Clayton Park is on Lincoln Street.
Yes.
Which is right on the Hoosick River.
Okay.
So it is town access to the Hoosick River
Yep.
that we have never utilized. Well, we did for a short time. But it was, like I said, it was gifted by at least the Winchester, I believe, and maybe some others that had it.
Yeah.
But they didn't, the town owning it is tax exempt and some other things, so it was best left in the care of the town. It just kind of has been not updated recently.
I think it's a good idea.
Sydney Clayton actually was one of the ones that donated.
Yes, and it's and it was under the care of the Winchesters, right? Yeah.
His family.
Yeah. And so I know there was a sign, but I think that would need to be replaced and,
Yes.
so.
I
just
love
like
that access to the rivers. A great
Huge, yeah,
idea. I've been,
really nice fishing area.
Yes. That's a year-round fly fishing.
Yes.
yeah,
I'll make a motion to to proceed with this purchase.
I will second that motion.
Have a motion, have a second. To apply for the spark plug. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comment. No hands? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening. Probably fell asleep.